it's cool. Some people in this music business, there's so many people who want to make money, and I really appreciate people who want to make records.
Yeah.
I mean, you make the money by making records, but it's the making records that's important. And the Nagel Hire people are like that.
I think some of the smaller labels are. They're really just doing it for the love of it, and they're realistic that this is not the popular music of the day, but they just want to put out good stuff.
That's it. That's it. That's it. So, who's on this?
Well, let's see. We've got, who do we have on this coast?
On this coast, yes.
We've got Alan Farnham, who I do there's 2 tracks on there that's just me and him.
He's real good.
He's great. You know who else is great, who's not on this album, but his wife, Tomoko Ono.
Yes.
Fabulous pianist. Also on this album, Tony Monti, Bucky Pizzarelli, Frank West, Link Milliman on bass. Let's see who else. Larry Ham plays with Fred Hunter and Sherry Miracle on drums. And then out west, I have a wonderful trio. Daniel May, his brother Benjamin May on bass, and John Marolo on drums.
Do you gig out there much?
I do. Well, twice a year now. It was more, and now, since I'm doing a little more traveling elsewhere, because I started there, so I do go back. I'll be back there in June playing the Vic, which is supposed to be very nice.
When you were acting out yonder, did you do anything that we saw?
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, I did a lot of episodic television.
Were you a victim or something, or a cop? Or,
well, speaking of cops.
Either or both?
Either and both. Some soap operas. I was a cop on the new Adam 12.
Cool.
They fired me because they didn't like the way I looked, or filled out, rather, the uniform.
Ah.
That was kind of the beginning.
They were looking for guns in a different sense.
Yeah. That was kind of the beginning of the end for the kind of acting career that I started out in, saying, oh boy, I know what I want to do with this, and it became this commercial sort of thing where nothing meant much anymore. And I worked, and that was good, but it's not why I got into it, I was on The Young and the Restless for a time, but what started it was in Chicago, opposite Tom Cruise and his big breakout movie, Risky Business. I had a couple of scenes in there, and a couple landed on the cutting room floor. And we ended up actually dating for a while. This was before he was Tom Cruise.
And you're taller than him.
I'm taller than him. He stood on an apple box.
So is everybody.
I know. But he's so cute.
Oh, okay.
He was very nice.
If you say so.
Well, I had a crush on him.
There you go.
Yeah. But I remained doing theater in Los Angeles. I didn't just, do the television thing. I had some smaller parts in movies. A Howie Mandel movie, which I can't remember the name of now. The Naked Face, which was with Roger Moore. And a couple of pilots that did make it to series. And one series I had a recurring role called Baby Boom, which was the spin-off on the movie.
Right.
That didn't do well and failed. So, and then a lot of voiceovers, a lot of cartoon characters.
When you're out yonder, it sometimes seems that the whole art becomes industrial out there.
Yeah.
And sometimes the music business is like that. And the great thing about jazz is that it's handmade in a way,
That's why I think I'm just so happy doing this, It just doesn't get into all of that. And what can I say? It's just pure, and you don't have to deal with that so much. I also feel like I'm in more control of my life, and I'm not waiting for the phone to ring from an agent to say, you have an audition, at La Cienega and Hollywood Boulevard, and good luck, and 10,000 people are there. I can make some phone calls for myself now and get some jobs. It's nice.
Yeah. Let's listen to the album again. We were talking about the title song. It's a song by Oscar Levant, who was wonderfully abandoned in so many ways.
That's probably why he wrote the song.
Sarah Partridge on Jazz 88. This is with Alan Farnham at the piano, and Sarah Partridge on WBGO. Alan Farnham on the Fender Rhodes with Sarah Partridge. Blame It on My Youth, that's the title track. New album just out on Nagel Hire. And she's here. She's here in downtown Newark. You going to gig anytime around this away?
Yeah. I was just out in New Hope, Pennsylvania last night. Hence the deeper voice this morning. Shanghai Jazz on Mother's Day, May 9th.
I love Shanghai Jazz. I haven't been there very much, but I love it.
It's great. It's great. And the people who
people
go there
are great,
love it.
And the people who run it are great, and the food is great.
And the food is, it's all great.
And they always get hip people in there. So
I know. It's
if
I have
David
a lot of
and
fun.
Martha booked you, then you must be hip, you see. That's one of those litmus tests.
It must be. And we're talking to Birdland right now. It looks like possibility of May 18th at Birdland.
Which is my favorite joint in New York.
Is it?
See, you just work on all my favorite places.
Hit the hip places.
That's right.
I did. Trumpets should be coming up. Working on a date there. A lot of unconfirmed stuff in this area right now in terms of dates, but...
Well, let me know.
Yeah.
So we were talking about, acting and everything, and sometimes singers that I see, they have no sense of how to perform. They have no sense of how to be on a stage or how to connect with an audience, and they have no sense of what the song is about, and the song is a story with plots sometimes, and certainly emotions.
Well, I was having a conversation with a group of people last night right after my gig about this. Particularly jazz musicians and singers sometimes, yes, either ignore the audience or aren't connecting to the song in any way and are more concerned about what they're doing vocally. And I think you owe it to an audience to connect with them, to tell the story to them. In a way, it's funny I didn't get more into the cabaret side of this music, which I didn't. I really didn't want to. I just felt like I lived more on the jazz side because I like to improvise a lot, too, on the melody. But I think to combine the two in terms of performance, I'm not talking about a recording, but in performance, it is absolutely your duty to the audience to convey the story, to talk to them, to not turn your back. I mean, this is my opinion.
No, I believe it. I believe it.
To bring them in.
There's a conundrum because live is in so many ways better than records, although you can do things on records that you can't do live.
Right.
But when you do a live record, it's not the same.
That's right.
So sometimes live records are really disappointing.
I know. It's a very hard thing to do. I'm not quite sure of why that is, but often they can be disappointing.
So what attracts you to these songs that you sing?
Well, the complexity of the lyrics compared to what's, written in the last 10 years. Again, it's the if you want to talk of it in theater terms, the first and second act, with no intermission, the telling of the story. And musically, there's so many of these songs are complex. They're not all easy. And I love that. I love the challenge of singing these songs. And there's so many of them. So many of them. Now, in saying that, I'd like to do an album, which a lot of people are starting to do now, of more contemporary songs and putting them in a different vein and finding some of the more complex modern songs. But
people forget that Gershwin songs and Irving Berlin songs and Cole Porter songs and Rodgers and Hart songs were pop songs.
That's right. That was the popular music of the day.
Right. The change was when the songwriters became the singers. Mm-hmm. To some extent, more Paul Simon singing his own,
right?
Stevie Wonder singing his own,
right? That's what it's all about now, with.
But you can still do wonderful things with Paul Simon and Stevie Wonder songs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because jazz absorbs everything.
It does.
Now, saying all that, I want to play a song by the Beatles, and I've been wanting to talk about connecting with lyrics. What the hell is this song about?
Well,
I have never known. It is one of the most attractive and appealing and memorable songs that they wrote. Norwegian Wood, This Bird Has Flown. I have no idea what the hell this song is about.
You sort of just have to find your own story.
But I love it.
I do too. And I asked myself the same question. And I just made up this little thing in my head about what it's about me being in this guy's apartment and being sort of left alone and stranded. And then, so I lit a fire. So, okay, I lit a fire and then I had flown. Then I took off. I took it
You're
literally.
The bird who flown.
I'm the bird
who was flown.
Yeah.
Or flewed.
This bird.
Or something. And you set the guy's apartment on fire.
Yeah, I took it literally. There was no other way for me to handle this song.
But there was no chair. See, what did you burn? That's the question.
The walls?
Isn't it good Norwegian wood? But what's wood?
Maybe the floors.
The whole place?
I pictured wood floors, although I've never seen Norwegian wood floors.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. I could think of, Norwegian furniture maybe.
Let's face it, they were high. What are you going to do?
Okay, that's the story
I'm
here
just
with
telling you that's what was in my head.
Sarah Partridge.